It was not too long ago that I ordered the Zelos Swordfish. Now, 6 months to the day, I'm ordering another Zelos watch. Stay tuned as I select this new acquisition, review the item I received, and decide if I'm going to keep both Zelos watches. Yes, it wasn't too long ago that I discovered Zelos watches at the Worn and Wound Wind-Up Show in New York City. Now Zelos has come out with the Horizons GMT, a 200-meter diver with a GMT function, and it seems right up my alley. After seeing one review of this watch on YouTube, I decided to give it some consideration, although I did have a couple of reservations. First, I already have a watch from Zelos, and I have the Ergon Maelstrom, which is a watch made in partnership with Zelos. I don't generally keep more than one watch in my collection from a specific maker, so this will require some choices on my part. And second, the Horizons is significantly more expensive than the Swordfish. The Swordfish was $299, and the Horizons is $649, although it has features that justify that cost difference. Despite these reservations, and after careful consideration and some investigation, I decided to go for the Horizons and potentially sell my Swordfish. So let's take a review of my options for the new Horizons before we get a closer look at the watch I actually received and discuss what I did with the Swordfish. The Horizons is available in 4 models, and except for the dial color and bezel, they are exactly the same inside and out. There's the Meteorite, which comes with a sapphire bezel, the Cobalt Blue, and the Slate Gray, which also come with a sapphire bezel, and the Hunter Green, which comes with a ceramic bezel. All the watches are priced at $649, except for the Meteorite, which is $100 more at $749. I had no interest in the Meteorite model, nor the Slate Gray, and I was going back and forth between the Cobalt Blue and the Hunter Green, and finally decided on the Hunter Green. For one, that dial color will be different than any other watch in my collection, and I liked the pairing with the ceramic bezel. So I decided to order my Horizon GMT with the Hunter Green dial. So in typical fashion with Zelos, my watch was shipped right away and arrived pretty quickly. And the packing material should look familiar, same as with the Swordfish. So let's open this up. Whoa, upside down. Let's open this up, take the sleeve off. Again, typical wooden box and a blue watch roll in, I assume, some sort of faux leather. I'm not too sure. Let's turn it around. And we have the Zelos metal warranty card, the extra leather strapped, branded with Zelos, nice brown. And here is the green watch. Very nice. Let me go off screen and take any of the plastic covering off. So you will notice that before I get into my review of the watch, I did change the strap. I took off the rubber tropical strap, which by the way has the Zelos logo etched into the buckle, and put on this brown leather strap that was provided with the watch. It's embossed on the back with Zelos, but does not have any marking on the buckle. So the first thing you'll notice about the watch is this deep hunter green dial. And I do know that you're getting some reflection here from my lights, and you can even see my camera here. Sorry about that. I guess the crystal doesn't have any anti-reflective coating. At least I couldn't find any, but we'll bear through that. So this deep green actually changes, and if you go outside, you'll see the sunburst, and the green change from a brilliant green to a dark green, all depending on the angle from the light and what sort of light you have it in. So let's start by looking at the dial from the outside in, and you can see that it's got a chapter ring here which has a 24-hour scale to be used in conjunction with the GMT hand so you can time a second time zone. Moving in from that, you see that we have applied hour markers with the 12, 3, and 9 positions being triangles. Of course, the 6 o'clock position is taken up by the date indicator, date window, and we'll talk about that later. The really nice thing about this is that these hour markers, these applied hour markers, are embedded or notched into the chapter ring just ever so slightly. Gives it a very nice, refined, and interesting finish. Of course, the hour markers have superluminova in it. Between the hour markers, we get the minute track, and on the dial itself, we have the applied Zelos logo, printed on GMT, and the depth rating. Now, at the 6 o'clock position, we have this nice window for the date. And what I like about this is that the window has a beveled edge. So it doesn't look like it was an afterthought. It gives it a nice little appearance without making the date window very obtrusive to the look of the watch. And the hands, of course, we have the minute and hour hand, which are sword shaped. The second hand has got this very thin needle-like pointer that goes all the way out to the minute track with this sort of triangle or trapezoid shape about 2/3 of the way down. And the GMT hand is this arrow shaped at the end, arrowhead at the end with a yellow border and superluminova in the middle. Now let's move on to the bezel. It's a 60-click bidirectional bezel with another 24-hour track. So you can actually track by moving this bezel a third time zone. Very nice movement, forwards and backwards, 60-click, and it has no wiggle room at all. So a very nice application of the bezel, and this ceramic insert also seems to have a gunmetal shade to it or appearance to it, even though it's ceramic. I think it plays nicely with the hunter green dial. And the bezel does have coin edging except for, I guess, every quarter of the way around where it has a smooth or polished or buffed appearance. Doesn't really detract from, in my view, the maneuverability or grasp of the bezel. Very nice action. Overall, the case is 40 millimeters in diameter. It's listed on the website at 12 millimeters thick, excluding the crystal. I measure it with the crystal at 13.5 millimeters, and you can see that that crystal sits just above the bezel and is slightly domed based on my vision. The finishing is brushed all around except for these chamfered edges on top and on bottom and at the lug ends, and polished between the lugs on both sides of the watch. Somewhat of a nice detail. Will give the watch in certain angles a little bit of pop to it. Moving to the back, we have a screw down display back with a, I assume, sapphire on the back, and this displays the ETA 2893 movement that beats at 28,800 beats per hour, giving us that nice sweeping second hand. And you can see this watch includes a custom designed rotor with a map of the world. And if you look closely, you can see the Zelos Z logo there in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean between Africa and Central America. Can you spot it there? Screw down back with the typical information on the back, and my watch seems to be number 46 out of 70. I assume that's a serial number. Moving on to the crown, we have a screw down crown with again the Zelos logo etched on the crown. Taking a look at the crown itself and the action of the movement, pop it out and we can hand wind the watch. Pop it out one more position and turning it clockwise changes the GMT hand by 1 hour of the outside 24-hour bezel or the inner 24-hour chapter ring. Turning it counterclockwise changes the date. So quick set on the date. And of course, popping it out all the way, we have time set and hacking on this watch. Typical functions. Crown feels fairly good. Now let's see how this watch looks on my wrist. And there is how it looks on my 7 7/8 inch wrist. I really like the brown rather than the black with this green dial, and so I think I'll keep it on here. And if you've watched any of my other videos, you will know that the 40mm size case is my preferred size, and I think it looks really good on my wrist. Let's take a lume shot just to see how that lume looks. Overall, nice lume application with the hour markers and the hands in green, and the GMT tip in a blue lume, as well as the 12 o'clock position or midnight position of the bezel. So now we get down to the question of, do I keep both Zelos watches that I now have, along with their cousin, the Ergon watch? Before we make a decision, let's do a comparison of some of the key characteristics of these watches. So the Swordfish here in my left hand is a diver watch, has a diver bezel, whereas the Horizons is a GMT watch. Although it has 200 meters of water resistance, it can be used as a diver. It is primarily a GMT watch. The Swordfish is a bit bigger at 42 millimeters and 48 millimeters lug to lug, whereas the Horizons is 40 millimeters with only a 45 millimeter lug to lug. So overall, the Swordfish is a bigger watch. And I think one of the key characteristics that is going to impact my decision is the overall weight. This Swordfish on this bracelet comes in just over 200 grams, quite heavy. Whereas this Horizons on the tropical rubber strap that it came with comes in just under half of that at 96 grams. So quite a big difference in the weight and the size of these watches. And of course, the other big factor is that this Swordfish is less than half the price of the Horizons. Of course, that will depend on when you bought each of these watches. All in all, I think I'm going to get much more use and pleasure out of the Horizons. So I'll be letting go of this Swordfish, seeing what I can get for it to offset the cost of the Horizons. Overall, I want to state that I am very happy with the watches that come out of Zelos. Whether branded Zelos as these two watches or as a partnership with the Ergon watch, I think their value proposition is spot on, and the styling and workmanship of the watches is really good. It's just that I have limited funds and limited space in my collection, so I'd rather just keep one of these two Zelos watches, and it's going to be this new Horizons GMT. Thanks for watching. Most of all, please leave your comments below. Let me know what you think of these watches and my choice to hand off the Swordfish and keep this Horizons. I think it's going to be a really nice addition to my collection. Please remember to subscribe and hit that bell icon so that you're alerted as soon as I post a new video. And as always, use that thumbs up button to show me that you like the content I'm posting.